Hey guys, I'm Craig, and today for the Snowboard Guide, we're going to check out the 2025 Bataleon Beyond Medals. So this here is the 2025 Bataleon Beyond Medals, which I believe is a collaboration between Bataleon and Tor Lundstrom, or Beyond Medals. And they call it a all-resort powder board, and I got to ride it in the 154. The Beyond Medals is a directional shape, and you can see that pretty easily with this, that has a very traditional but longer looking nose and a very short and cut off tail. I think I said I rode it in the 154, and the 154 has a waist width of 25.2. The Beyond Medals has a positive camber, and it also has Bataleon's Sidekick Technology, which I'm pretty keen to talk about later. I rode it in a variety of conditions, across the mountain, a lot of time in the park. Love my side hits, and also a little bit of powder. Probably not as much as it deserved, but I did ride it in late season spring in North America. Also, what's cool about the Beyond Medals is it has these inserts, which it has your traditional inserts here, but it also has these kind of jam backs. So you've got your normal range of inserts. So there's 12 front, 12 back, but there's 2 extra. So you can go right back another 4 centimeters. So if you want to jam it right back for power, you've got that opportunity in the board. Saying that, I rode it at the rear end of the traditional inserts and 2 back from the front ones, which gave me a stance width of around 23 inches, which is pretty normal to what I ride. So I was frothing to check out a Bataleon board. Funnily enough, if you've watched some of our stuff, you've watched our intro or any of our stuff, I've got little kids that snowboard. And last year I got my 5-year-old on a Bataleon, I think it's called a mini shred, 95 centimeter. So he came off a Burton after school special, wanted to extend his board length a little bit. And I went with the mini shred, and that offers the Sidekick technology. It was really cool. I really wanted to try it out and see how he kind of adjusted to it. And it was really cool to watch the confidence the board gave him and the freedom from the Sidekick technology. So, you know, he's a little kid and they seem to adjust to anything and just kind of rip it up. But I also wanted to see how it went in an adult board, especially for someone that snowboarded for 20 years riding, you know, normal camber and none of this sort of tech. I rode it all over the resort. It says that it's more of a resort to powder board. I rode it in like late season North America, more spring. Had a couple of powder days where it felt really fun, but mainly all mountain and park, and then just cruising around, side hits, all that sort of stuff. The board kind of went everywhere. I didn't feel like there wasn't too much it could do. I do get a little bit wigged out. I'm kind of like a centered twin guy. I don't know why. I really should probably move past that at my age, but I do feel really natural having like centered twin shape where my nose length, you know, from binding out to tail is really similar. Anything else kind of wigs me out a little bit, but it was really cool to see how well this board actually rode with an extended nose and this shortened tail. What really surprised me, I remember coming down Whistler and there were some rollers and I went in switch and I'm like, oh, there's like a really cool kind of roller. I'm just going to do like a half cab and I'm going quite fast. And I think I was overthinking it too much. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to see how this goes, like, you know, half cabbing out. And it felt awesome. Really easy to spin, you know, without this sort of extra grip here. And it felt really natural to ride switch, even at a bit of speed. What was also really interesting about the Sidekick technology is I like riding around the resort, love searching out side hits. The kids love it, I love it. It's heaps and heaps of fun. But I noticed something that took a bit of getting used to is you go into a side hit and you go off it and you pop and then you sort of spin as you release. But I found on the first few days of getting used to this Sidekick technology, instead of popping and spinning, I'm almost, because I'm winding up, my body and my board are almost wanting to slide out of the spin before I popped off. And that definitely took a bit of getting used to because I'm spinning before I get to pop. So I feel like I'm closer to the ground, even, you know, my ears are tiny at my old age. But yeah, it definitely kept me close to the ground. But it's also funny how your body gets used to like muscle memory and stuff like that. So there wasn't anything I actually had to do to adjust. It just took a few days, few hits and just kind of getting used to. And after like 2 days on it, it felt really, really natural. And nothing negative. That 2 days wasn't like having horrible riding. It was just kind of my body muscle memory, something, just getting used to it until it felt really natural. On the flip side of that, The benefit was I didn't have, catchy edges sticking out. I wasn't coming like blind and not quite making a spin and catching and like flipping back. It also lets you kind of like just slide out quite nicely because these edges, are less kind of prone to catch like you would on boards without that Sidekick technology. It's funny because since I got this, I've been watching and reading different forums where it seems like people love the Sidekick technology and they they absolutely love it, or people don't like it or they've had it. And the people that haven't liked it, it's been funny watching their experience with it's been really like, oh, I rode the board for an hour or I rode it at a demo. It wasn't for me. It did take me a little bit more getting used to. So if you're looking at a Bataleon board, you're not sure about the Sidekick, but you want the board because, like look at the model, graphic, whatever it is, don't be afraid to get it. It will take a couple of days of getting used to, and it will feel natural. It'll feel like something you've ridden forever, but you'll get those benefits of the Sidekick technology. Again, on the flip side, the other thing is it didn't take long to get out of that. I remember years ago when Rocker first came in, I was working at Snowboard shop in Canada. K2 came. It was the first time I ever saw Rocker. It was like 2008 or something. They left demos with us. I went and rode like a Turbo Dream or something around the mountain. I love Rocker. Rocker's the best thing I've ever ridden. Rode it for a few hours, got back on my regular 156 Jeremy Jones, and I was catching every edge. I was catching edges I didn't even know I had. I was having a horrible, horrible time. Coming off the Sidekick technology, back onto a regular board, if you're someone that floats between different boards and love riding different boards, there's no kind of transitioning back. So even though it took a few days and a bit of getting used to the Sidekick, and nothing bad, riding down the resort, turning, carving, hitting rails, boxes, doing airs, all felt really good. It was really that on edge, through side hits, or if you're someone that spins a lot and you're coming in on your edge, you might just find a bit of getting used to until it feels natural. And it's just the human body is just absolutely amazing how it adapts to that and it changes and just gets used to it. I rode the Beyond Metals with the Bataleon Blaster binding, and I hadn't ridden a Bataleon binding before, and I was keen to check it out. I don't really think I've ridden anything outside of like Burton, Union, and maybe like bent metal. So I was really keen to check it out. I feel like they do really alternative sort of technologies, like, with the Sidekick, and they're trying to do different things. I think this is an ASIM, like an asymmetrical binding. As you'll see, the base plate comes around for the full length of the binding, but then it's removed on this side. I felt the binding had really good control. It wasn't too stiff, wasn't too soft. I'm a bigger guy, turned the board well, didn't feel like I overpowered it, it was too soft or anything. What I did really like is I tend to get a lot of boot pain. I have really wide, really flat feet. And while I get my boots dialed, I think sometimes my binding straps can kind of jam in my boot and I get this pain across the top of my feet. I didn't get this with the blasters. Don't know if it's the ASIM frame, but what I did really like is these straps, especially the toe strap. They're kind of like they're firm, but they're kind of softer. So I ride a Burton Ion boot, which has like a hard toe. And when I jam it in here and put this across the toe, this would just bend out across it and just sit so nice and so snug. There was no moving. It just sat in absolutely perfect. Also, there's kind of different angles coming out, which would be interesting to know a bit more about on the tech side. And I don't want to go there to get it wrong, but it just felt really comfortable. I felt like the strap actually sat a bit higher up on my ankle and above rather than down across my foot where I normally get that pain. So the Blaster was a really comfortable and really responsive binding and went really well with the Beyond Metals, but I think would be really good for anyone that's riding like all mountain, resort, powder or park. It kind of goes everywhere. Overall, I think the Beyond Metals is for almost anyone. If you're like a high beginner to intermediate sort of thing, super forgiving. It's got a nice directional shape. It's got a positive camber, which isn't too aggressive. It's got your Sidekick technology. It's going to work across the resort. It's going to work in powder. Feels really good on little rails, boxes, in the air. It's going to do everything you want. And if you're an intermediate to an advanced rider, you're probably not watching snowboard reviews or whatever. But yeah, it's again a really good board that goes all over the place. I rode it at the 154 only because I was frothing to check this out and I could only get my hands on a 154 at the time. But I'm not unhappy I did. It's been heaps of fun and, moving my stance and all that sort of stuff. If you told me it was a 157, I probably would have not challenged it. It just felt really natural. It didn't feel like a small board. Felt really good. Would have been good to check out something a bit bigger just to see how they kind of go by the comparison. But I love the 154 and it felt right at home. Look, overall, board was heaps of fun. Really enjoyed the opportunity to check out a Bataleon board, Sidekick technology and everything else they offer. Really enjoyed my time riding around the resort, the park, powder on it. And I want to thank the guys at Bataleon for the opportunity to check this out, and also the guys at Evo and Whistler that helped get the board to me, which was super cool. And I hope you get a chance to check one out too. This is the 2025, and I think it's just been superseded by a new model, which might have a new name. It might be called the Tornado, but it's a similar board. But you know, if you're looking for this board, I've seen on a lot of like US sites and different websites, it's on sale and get it at a really good price. The board was absolutely sick, and it would sit really well in a quiver. If you ride a variety of boards, it will sit really nicely in there as an all mountain resort and even powder board. If you're looking for one board, it seems to go everywhere really, really well. Again, thanks for everyone that worked together to help me get this board to check it out, and hopefully get a chance to check one out too. Also, it'd be great if you could subscribe, follow, like, whatever you do on YouTube videos. But also we have an Instagram, the Snowboard Guide. It'd be good if you could give us a follow. Let us know if there's boards you want to see. If there's boards you want to review, if you have any questions about this, stuff we have in our pipeline, we'd love to connect with you. Thanks so much for watching.